Buckle up, because we're merging back into traffic on Radio Nemo's Nemo Nation.
Dave, I want to do the honor of introducing a friend of mine. Did a great segment of Education Station, Al Hanley III. Al Hanley III is the Chief Operating Officer of the CDL School and Troops into Transportation. Been doing that since June of 2025. He's the Technical Advisor to the CDL Expert. Al, it is good to have you back, man, and I couldn't have asked for a better guest on this eve of Veterans Day. He's a 35-year veteran of the truck driver training and CDL school industry with an extensive experience in helping new students navigate the process of becoming licensed commercial drivers. He's been doing this. He's part of a continuum of 3 generations, and many people know that his grandparents, Al and Mary Hanley, founded the first school in Albany, New York in 1963. I mean, he's been dedicated to the education and the quality of education to all of his students and the industry at large. And he has a great deal of respect and love for the veterans community who he is working with these days. Al, it's good to have you back, man. How you been?
I've been great. Thanks for having me back. It's a great week to be back on the program, Jimmy.
Yeah, and this is Dave Nemo, by the way.
Hey, good morning, Al.
Yeah. Hey, Dave. How are you?
Real good, man. Thank you so much for being with us.
Good. Can you all hear me okay?
You sound great. Do we sound good to you, my friend?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay. Let's dig in first by explaining to people who might make their way over to Troops into Transportation. Explain to them what the program is, what the project is, and why it's so important.
Yeah, sure. Happy to, especially, this week's Veterans Day, as everyone knows. Back in 2011, we saw a huge need, huge high unemployment of transitioning and retiring veterans. Unemployment rates were as high as 30% of veterans under the age of 30. And all our partner carriers that we work with were really desperate to find them, and there was no real great linkage for veterans to get their CDL and to get the jobs that were available and the employers to hire them. So we started this initiative with several of our partner carriers, and in 2013 expanded it to an on-post program at Fort Benning, Georgia, up in Columbus, Georgia, and from there have expanded it to multiple installations around the U.S., including the Marines, Camp Lejeune, and recruiting Marines out of Camp Pendleton. And, to date, we've had over 20,000 veterans in active duty get their CDL, go to work, and transition into trucking. So it's just been a fantastic journey.
The other thing is you're actually not only putting your money where your mouth is, but you're also bringing evidence of all the good work that is possible by doing this as well too. You brought some friends along with you, and some people that we now consider friends. Would you care to introduce them? And by the way, we'll go through each one of them one at a time. I think our listeners are going to really dig these folks. So would you do us the honor?
Yeah, sure. I think they're good stories. I was talking to your producers, and I said, I shouldn't do all the talking. Let's talk to some of the folks that have taken the program and then journeyed on, and they've driven professionally. And we have Bill, Mark, Rob. They're all part of our organization, and they all have really kind of cool, unique stories of how they found us and where they've taken that initial first step. So I really just let them talk and have you introduce them in order.
We're going to start with, and now that I've heard him called Bill, William Caswell. Bill Caswell joins us this morning. Yeah. And we'll get to everybody here in short order rather than going through like introductions and then testing people later on names. Bill, we'll just start with you. Welcome to the show. You have a career skills program over at Fort Stewart, Georgia, that you are integrally involved with and have been. Can you kind of unpack how you play a role in recruiting and making sure that the troops, those men and women who are making the transition, understand that there's a wonderful career and wonderful possibilities waiting for them in the transportation sector? And good morning to you, Bill. Give us a little of your background first.
Good morning. Yeah, I was in the military 26 years. Right before I get out of the service, I was running the 3rd Infantry Driving Academy, so I was working a lot with training drivers for the Army and the 3rd Infantry Division. When I went to get out, I sat through a briefing for troops in the transportation. They were just getting started up there at Fort Stewart in late 2012. I listened to it. I really liked the program, and then I attempted to do it on my own. I got what's called a military skills waiver. I kind of took the test, passed the written portion, and once I got the written portion, I got hired by a major carrier. I got to the carrier and found out real quick, once I sat down, that I didn't have everything I needed. I didn't know how to drive those cones. I didn't know how to do all the parallel parking. There was a lot of things. So I defaulted right back I went to troops into transportation. They got me into class very quickly. I was 4 weeks. I was back out there at a major carrier making a living. I did that for almost a year, and I stayed in touch. And Al reached out to me, Al and Andrea Hanley, and they asked me to come out here and be a military recruiter here at Fort Stewart. And the rest has been pretty much history. I just really like talking to everybody because I've walked that same path. A lot of our transition service members are walking. I've lived that life, and I know what that transition is like. So I love getting in front of a group of people, talking to transitioning service members, going to job fairs, and helping other people make that transition.
Bill, hold on one second because I want to make sure we get everybody in here as well because I got a question for you. Actually, it's a question by way of praise for you about the ability to say, I'm not ready to do this. I'm going to go back and study some more. Mark Smith, by the way, Dave, is joining us this morning. And we get to say happy birthday to him because along with being in the Army, he was also in the Corps. And he has developed many invaluable skills. He had 20 years between both the Army and the Marine Corps. Good morning to you, Mark. Give us a little bit of your background and take us in that circuitous route that drives you into the transportation industry.
Well, good morning, guys, and thank you for having me. Thank you for the birthday wishes. I did spend 21 years between the Marine Corps and the Army. I came up to the end of my career 2016, 2017. I actually was down at Fort Benning, Georgia. I found the program, the CDL Troops Transportation Program there. I have a little bit of family history with trucking. My grandfather was a truck driver, so I kind of grew up around trucks. Always had a passion for them. So as I was getting out of the military, I went through the program, got my CDL there at Fort Benning, Georgia. I did, similar to Bill, I went with a national carrier for a while and just kind of decided I wanted to be home instead of being over the road. So I reached back out to one of my former instructors from the school, asked if they were looking for help, and came on board back in 2018, and kind of the rest has been history. I've worked as an instructor at Fort Benning. I've run most of the program for several years across the campuses from Miami to Seattle, here to New York now, and just found that I have a passion for teaching and testing and helping these drivers get from the military into the civilian sector and make sure they've got the best quality training we can provide them.
Well, good morning. Welcome to you. Great to have you as well. We pivot to our last of what I call them the Magnificent Three, the Three Musketeers. Robert Brown, Bob, joins us this morning as well. Good morning to you, Bob. Thank you for making the time on this busy Monday morning here on Nemo Nation. Give us a little bit of your own background. Tell us your story as well.
Yes, sir. How are you all today? That's great to be on here. So I served just a little over 11 years, not quite as long as the other gentleman here, but as I served as military police in the United States Army, and MP typically stands for multi-purpose more than it does military police. We do a little bit of everything, but we just drive to it instead of walking to it like the infantry does. So it was a great experience. It really was. But we as I started transitioning, like a lot of other folks transitioning, I had multiple plans. Thought I had 3 good solid plans to transition out successfully, and like most of us, that plan started falling apart as I started getting closer to exit. And I actually ran into Bill Caswell. Bill Caswell was my recruiter for troops into transportation, and he really helped me navigate through the messy transition of getting out and getting me straight into this training pipeline. So then I went and I trained at our Fort Benning location, which is in my opinion, one of our best locations that we have, and earned my CDL there. Went on to work for TMC Transportation. I worked there for it was right at 2 years, which I would have loved to do more time over the road. Actually, I really, really love this job. I do, but life again threw me a curveball, and things just started changing in life for me again. And it was right about that same time that actually Bill Caswell reached out to me again and said, "Hey, we're actually looking for instructors for our Fort Stewart classroom location." And so timing just worked out just right. I always say God knows what He's doing. So He took that time to just get me connected there, get me put into the pipeline here at Troops in the Transportation, where I've been able to progress through the company here and make it to the director of training position here. So,
by the way,
a great time.
I'm going to turn this over to Dave here in a second, Bob, but I can tell you I understand that from my own family's history. My grandfather in World War II was an Army Air Corps fighter pilot. He was so good at what he did was they're like, okay, out of the Pacific you come. Why? We need to get you back home to train people. And that's part of that military mentality. It's like, where do you need me? I know where I'd like to be, but where do you need me? And you go there because when you find out you have a skill set and a core, they want to make sure that you actually utilize it to the best of your ability. Sounds like that's what the program is up to as well with Troops in Transportation. Dave, go ahead.
Oh, Bob, good morning. Dave Nemo here. I just wanted to say that you and I have something in common that you might not expect. You were stationed in South Korea at Camp Walker, and back in 1971-72, I was stationed at the Yongsan Army Air Force Base right there in Seoul, and I did Nemo's Night Beat on AFKN, the Armed Forces Radio Network.
That's amazing. That's really, really cool. Yes, I did. Yeah, it was Camp Walker, and then I did a second stint over there as well. One in 2003 and one in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great experience over there.
Yeah, great people, it's a great experience to go to Korea. It really is. It was great back then, and it's completely different now, I understand.
It's better.
Yeah. K-pop hadn't come out yet.
Two different experiences, that's for sure.
Yeah. But at least Dave didn't have to fight the war of K-pop. I want to ask Bill a question here, really quickly. Bill, so much of what you do is in the recruiting sector. So much of what you do is the ability to kind of, I don't want to say sell the people on the program, but show people what the program can do for them. And so I would kind of ask you, given your understanding of this program, if you have a recruit, if you have somebody who's making that transition, what's the best pitch you can give them? What's the best story you can tell them about why this is a great track to kind of follow?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I do recruit people, but it's the program itself really sells itself. It's just sitting there looking and doing a lot of listening, asking questions, what their goals are, what their plans are, and shaping the discussion around that to determine, what they want to get out of this career. And then talking about all the opportunities that are available to them, whether that be over the road, regional, dedicated opportunities, owner-operator, or if they just want to get a CDL to get into the forestry department. We just, I spend a lot of time probing the applicant to make sure that, one, that this is going to be a good career for them, and then doing everything I can to make sure that they get into the aspect of the transportation industry that they're looking for. Sorry.
Okay.
Well said.
I'm gonna pivot over to Mark here as well too, because we then or Dave are going to have a conversation. The last one is going to be, of course, with Bob about theory. But the thing is too is the fact that when you're putting together a training system, because you're dealing with two things. One, you're training people how to actually act in civilian life, but you're gearing it towards men and women who have spent up to 20, 25 years in a very, very different sort of culture. The joke we make on this show all the time, I know our listeners get tired of it though, is a lot of people retire from the military and feel like they're old men or old women, except nobody bothered to tell them that a 39, 40, 41-year-old man or woman ain't old in today's society. How do you create something that acknowledges the culture that these folks are coming from while simultaneously setting them up for success in civilian life? Am I making sense, Mark?
Yeah, it does make sense, especially, and Bill can probably speak to this as well, as he's got, 26 years like I've got 21. The military is very, very regimented, and everything has standards, everything has procedures that we do. And in the civilian world, and this is something even 8-9 years later, I'm still kind of working through adjusting to civilian life versus military life. But the nice thing about the transportation industry, even though you have guys that go to, the majority go to companies, driving out in the truck is still, they're their own boss in that truck. They're the ones that get up when they get up, start their runs when they start their runs. They base all their mission, for a better way of putting it, their mission is their call, how they run their programs. So, building that training around the regiment of what they're used to in the military, but then equating the civilian side to back into that military structure allows the students to kind of understand that, hey, I can still translate everything that I know and everything that I've known for how many ever years they've been in the military. It still slides right over to and will help base their job or their driving experience, because they'll be able to keep that regiment within themselves. They're not going to be so much put off on, you have to do everything exactly the way I say to do it, and you have no say in this. As a truck driver, once you get behind the wheel, inside that truck, that's your office and that's your job, and you're the boss. And so being able to relate that over, it makes a big difference with these guys, especially dealing with the military folks. It's
almost like it's a consistent, at civilian life, people are often shocked that they're being handed tactical command. I mean, what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, you take it from here. Wait, what? No, you do it the way you need to do it. As long as the job gets done, the principle, the objective is all that matters here, right? And that's sometimes a hard thing for people to process, correct?
And that's really the case with this transition from the military to the transportation. Because, yeah, I may work for a company, and the company may say, go pick up product A at point A and get it to point B. But once they say that, then it's on the driver, the soldier in this case, to make all those plans, make all those routes, make all those times. He still has tactical command of it. And when they realize that, and when they put those two items together, that it all coincides and it goes together, that plan works out, and it keeps that transition a little bit easier, I think, to be able to go from such a regiment to still maintaining a lot of that regiment in their new career. I got a final question for Bob, then I know Dave's got a couple of things he'd like to add to this. Bob, I was also kind of curious in regards to the word theory. I want to know how you define it, and I want to know how comprehensive it is. And do you feel like because you exist in a world that is constantly evolving, so that you can't lock it in. You've got to keep on kind of going back and keeping up with what is changing theoretically in the transportation industry, right? So how do you kind of balance your need to keep learning with your need to keep instructing?
Yeah, that's a very good point. Over the years, our CDL theory program has come a long way. It's not just PowerPoints and just practice tests anymore, right? We've built a full learning system that meets every FMCSA and ELET requirement, but more importantly, it actually prepares someone to be safe, confident, and employable from day one. There's just so many things that you can learn in the classroom that you don't get a chance to get the hands-on activity in the truck. Skid control and recovery. You can't just throw somebody in the truck and throw the truck into a skid and teach them how to steer out of it. Some of that stuff is just going to have to be theoretical, and you're going to have to fully understand it from the classroom aspect before you get into the truck. And that way that muscle memory is going to take over on what you've been trained through. So we've got our training method that we call CDOR, the comprehension, demonstration, observation, repetition. It's all about that repetition. It's the same way the military typically trains, right? It's that same mindset. Learn it, watch it, do it again, do it again, do it again until it's second nature. But our theory isn't just about memorizing facts. It's about understanding why things matter on the road, why air pressure fluctuates, why speed and weight matter, things like that. So we do have to stay ahead of it, that's for sure, because it does constantly change. It is very important.
Yeah, because you can't just tell a bunch of people coming into an industry where you're basically sometimes have 50, 60, 70,000 pounds behind you and people are racing around you because I said so. Don't cut it.
You're right.
You know, I mean,
That's right.
that's the reality of it. I mean, even people who follow orders say, "Wait a minute, what am I following, and where am I headed?" And I really need a little bit more of a debrief here. Dave, what you got?
Well, Al Hanley brought in Bill and Mark and Bob to the program here this morning, but I wanted to circle back to Al for just a moment and kind of preface the question with this. I was in the Army for 2 years, 71, 72. When I came out of the Army, I wasn't in the Army anymore, but I can tell you now at 77 years old, everything that I did in the Army, that experience still is with me through the years indelibly. Now, my question is this. I wasn't drafted, but I was number 16 on the lottery. So I went in, I joined the Army because my stepfather was at the Battle of the Bulge in a tank. I had no connection to the Marines. They were drafting into the Marines. Okay, so there's that. Okay, now, who joins the Army today? There's no draft. The percentage of people in terms of our population is like 1% or something. I mean, it's really low. It's crazy. Do people join the Army for a couple of years now, or do you join the Army to make a career out of it, and then it doesn't really turn into the 20 years, but somewhere along the line you need to get out for one reason? In other words, who is the guy? Would I be different today if I joined the Army today in today's world than I did in 70? Does that make sense? You get what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah, I hear you. I think today's armed forces are a lot different. My dad was your era. He was he joined up in 65.
Mm-hmm.
He got deployed to Vietnam, and it was really in his mind at the time. He always told me, he goes, I was wasting my time in college. He had read The Longest Day, and he had always been motivated to go into the airborne. So he kind of followed that path and then realized a career in the Army wasn't for him, or the career in the military.
Mm-hmm.
I see the young folks today are kind of confronted with those same choices. Is college right for them? Is the opportunities and the careers that are available to them right? A lot of them are trying to test themselves. A lot of them are motivated by patriotism and service to the nation. So it's kind of the gambit. And then we're noticing that, a lot of folks, typical, our students are 6-7 years of service. We still see a lot of retirees though, like Bill and Mark, where
mm-hmm.
they did a career and now they're young enough where they're saying, okay, what's the next chapter? So, I got to say it's a mixed bag. It's certainly a different environment than the 60s and 70s, no draft, which probably makes us stronger, right, in a way, because you have people that are going there not because they have to, but because they see opportunities in it, if that makes sense.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
And it's become a family business for a lot of people as well, too. And I mean that as the highest form of compliment. I mean, there's people who actually understand what they are actually signing up for. And there's a culture of not only men and women who serve, but the men and women who are married to those people actually understand that a whole lot better. They understand the sacrifice that they're getting into. I was going to ask you really, really quickly before we run out of time here, and thank you, by the way. Let me make sure that Dave and I say this before we even get done with this. To everyone joining us this morning, thank you for your service. We appreciate you all so much. Just great to have you, by the way. But what's the future looking forward for the program? Where are there places to expand? Where do you see opportunities?
For me, look, in any given year, there's 85,000 folks that go into the service. There's 85,000 that go out. So, I'd like to be the right choice for as many of those that see this as a fit. Trucking is just so integral to the U.S. economy and the international transportation system, and if we can provide that springboard that help them get their foot in the door with some of these great companies, because that's really our approach. We kind of Shark Tank it, where we put these great folks in front of all these great companies and let the companies kind of compete over them. Wherever we can, we have main campuses in Fort Hood, Seattle, Washington, Denver, Fort Benning. and we can really serve veterans from all over, veterans in active duty from all over the country. So, the expansion goes. We'd like to do more with the Navy and the Air Force. Right now, we're pretty focused with the Army and Marines, but as long as there's good paying jobs, we want to be that conduit for folks to be able to transition, like Rob, Bill, and Mark did.
Really quickly, before we get out of here, Bill, what are you most excited about with what you're doing?
I'm sorry?
What are you most excited about with the program and what you're doing?
I'm excited because I believe in the program 100%. It works. I'm a product of the program. So when I'm talking to people and talking about the program, I have 100% in my heart that the program is going to benefit them. And it's not really a job. It's kind of this. It's an honor to sit in front of other veterans, their family members, and talk them through and help them get to the next step of where they're going to go, earning the paychecks they deserve and the benefits they deserve.
You figured out what you love. Mark, in 10, 15 seconds, tell me what you're excited about the job.
It's just the ability to be able to connect with these veterans, get them that job that they're looking for, and be able to transition them from one job right into the next without a lapse. Being able to give back what was given to me as a product from the program myself, like Bill was, it's giving back.
Outstanding. And finally, Bob, you got a chance to listen to two answers, which, by the way, puts you at both an advantage and disadvantage. What are you most excited about? What's next?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Honestly, what I'm excited about is seeing how our instruction grows, how our instructors grow into leaders and multiply that same impact. When you've got veterans training veterans, you're not just teaching a skill, you're building culture. So that culture, discipline, mentorship, and pride, that's what's going to change lives one student at a time.
Dre's going to hit the music here, but Al, tell us where people can go to find out more about it really quickly.
Troops2transport.com or cdlschool.com. All the information you need is on that website. And, I just want to happy Veterans Day to all out there. Thank you all for your service, and we're going to keep doing it one day at a time from here on in.